Never be good for nothing. Somebody that's worthless. Good for nothing is somebody that doesn't value commitment, doesn't value loyalty, doesn't understand the worth of the value of their own commitment and their own loyalty, which is something that a lot of people don't have in their own personal relationships. I know the struggle of when I make a promise to myself, I have to keep that promise. That's a commitment. That's a loyalty that I have with myself, right? So that's something that I have to promise myself to do and be able to do and go through with whatever it is that I promised myself to do, or whatever the agreement is in my own mind of what I said I'm going to do, right? That's the relationship that I have with myself. That's my expectation. Being good for nothing, I searched it to see what everybody says that it is, because I just feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about a lot of quotes or a lot of truths, but that's just anybody's perception. However we choose to perceive something or to understand something is your own thing. When someone says they're good for nothing, that just means they're trash or garbage. Being good for nothing, if you understand the meaning of it, then you won't be good for nothing, right? You have to be good for something. What makes anybody good? So for someone like myself, where I'm naturally good, like I'm just good, like I'm a good girl, I'm a good woman, I'm good. Everything that's in me is good, whether anybody else agrees with that or not, whether there's a good reputation, good opinions, whatever, criminal record. They're like, oh, are you sure that you're good? Because according to this, it doesn't look like you're all that. It doesn't look like you're a great person. That doesn't bother me because I'm sure of myself. I'm sure of my identity, my truth, and that's not up for debate with anybody. You determine your worth. You determine your value, and you say what that is. You say what you will and you won't do, what you can and you can't do, what anybody else is allowed to do to you or for you is your own standard. That's your own thing to say. Anybody would be like, well, duh, don't we all know that? There's so many times that I thought I knew everything and turned out I didn't know anything at all. So, I think everybody, as human beings, we're just constantly evolving, constantly growing, constantly learning things and relearning things. Life will teach anybody. Will make a good student out of anybody. So it's good to refresh on some of these I don't want to say life lessons, but some of these life truths. I don't like the word lesson because it just sounds degrading. Somebody that's good for nothing is just giving for no reason. It's just giving and giving and giving until there's nothing left. And I've been that. And that's where I had to learn. I literally had to learn how to be selfish and how to stop giving and to start giving to myself. That's where I started learning self-love, self-care, and I started investing in myself. And I can see the difference that it made from who I was to what I am then and now. And I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly evolving. And I'm not trying to teach anybody, really. I'm just sharing my experience, my life experience, and it's a good reminder for me when I talk about it. So I'm happy to do that, but I don't mean to go into lecture mode or to preach. That's not my thing. I'm a granddaughter of a preacher. My grandpa was a preacher at a local church. He had a following. So he enjoyed telling the truth to everybody, and people gathered to listen to him every Sunday. It's really weird because as an adult, I'm just rethinking a lot of my childhood experiences and wondering what my relationship really was with some of those family members. And now as a mom, I just really am trying to be the light and guide my daughter the right way, despite some of the challenges of the past situations, the past childhood traumas that we both endured, right? And I've heard people say, oh, don't take advice from anybody you wouldn't trade places with. And I agree with that to an extent, because there are a lot of people that I think, such as myself, where I was in unfortunate circumstances, but I wasn't stupid. I wasn't dumb. It was a real challenging time. So for anybody to dismiss or discredit me according to the circumstances, and I was judged heavily in a court according to the circumstances rather than my truth, rather than the truth that to me is the bigger picture. I look at them totally different now. I see those people totally different now. I know that a lot of people are selfish, that they do things for selfish reasons, that a lot of people have ulterior motives. They have favoritism and deals that they do behind the scenes, under the table, that they're not even talking about or mentioning anywhere in their public records. Or if that's not the case, then why did things happen that way instead of the way it was supposed to actually happen? There's a lot of wrong that occurred, that affected me and affected my daughter, and our beauty and our resilience says, oh, they're fine. We're not fine. The way that communicates to me in my mind is, okay, we'll be fine, but we're not okay. There's a difference. Fine meaning, who do I forward the bill to? I'm going to send this fine to somebody. Somebody has to pay for this. That's the way that I feel about that. And I know that that's not my heart, that's my hurt. Okay? So I've invested a lot of time into my healing, my mental health, and my physical health overall. Healthcare with Heo via Polybody Fitness is a YouTube channel and an account of mine that I care about and that I'm maintaining independently very well, and that I'm proud of myself for. And I share a lot of my experiences health-wise through those channels and my accounts on Instagram, etc. I might become certified and all the things. Anyways, when we look up to somebody, it's not to say I'm a child or that I'm less than anybody else. I'm not. If I look up to someone, it's someone that I respect and admire and see as a light. Okay? So if there's somebody that is around me or with me trying to talk down to me in a way that is trying to minimize me, just talking to me in the wrong tone, blaming me, accusing me, disrespecting me, that kind of thing, that kind of behavior, absolutely not. It's necessary to highlight that because when we're with somebody as a child and there's abuse and we don't know how to get out of that, but we just, whatever reason, we don't understand that we don't have to comply, that we don't have to stay, that we can leave, that we have the right to leave, that we have the right to say no, we have the right to reserve all of our rights, and we have the personal responsibility to say no, to protect ourselves, to say, I'm not going to tolerate this. I don't like the way it makes me feel. You're not a good person, and I recognize that now. Whereas before, I didn't understand any of that. I just thought this is the way it is. I thought this is normal. And so when we're following direction or instruction, that obviously, like in the military, is a chain of command where you're following somebody's orders, but why? But why? Did you ever stop to think, why am I listening to you? Who even are you? What is this? Did you ever question the source? Because when we're providing information or we're complying or we're listening even to advice or somebody's perspective, somebody's direction and instruction as like valuable or a valid source of information, we think they must think something. You must think something of that person, right? Information is highly valuable. Information isn't just something on a sheet of paper. Information is when you're interacting with someone, when you're talking to someone. When I'm talking to someone, we're exchanging interaction. We're also exchanging information, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And when somebody's providing direction, they're expecting the other person is listening to the direction or instruction to follow, which means that they're providing a kind of a sense of information. That's how the math is mathing in my mind. And we don't owe that to anybody. We don't owe anybody our information. This is the reason that information is so heavily protected. It's something that is in the data, right? So when I say don't sell my data, don't sell my information, it's because it's valuable. It's my identity, it's who I am, and it means something, right? But when we think about an abuser, somebody that was disrespectful, you have to look at that person, look at the source and say, you know what, I never really looked at you, but now that I'm really giving a good look at you, I'm not sure why I was following any of your direction or your instruction at all. I have no idea if I was looking at you in the dark, if I've been blind all these years, but I have no idea why I thought you were anybody to listen to or to follow or to take any instruction, direction, or guidance from. You're nobody. You're nothing. And the fact that you're a disgusting human being means that I really don't like you. I really don't like you, and I definitely don't respect you. So your respect for me doesn't have anything to do with me because I don't need that from you. I don't need anything from you. I don't owe you anything either. And so actually, now that I've come to the light and come to my senses, I'm going to leave now. And you're not going to stop me. And if you do, there's consequences for that. You're not going to hold me against my will. I have rights, right? I have rights. And unbeknownst to you, I might have taken a class or two in self-defense, and you're really not going to stand a chance against this pepper spray, against this mace, against this bat, against this machete in my back seat. You're not going to stand a chance against any of that. So I highly suggest that you get the fuck out of my way. You have to understand, as I had to learn to understand, that I am good. Being good is equivalent to someone saying, I am enough. Being good means to say that I don't need or want anything from anybody else to where I have to be submissive to anything that they're trying to dictate to me. Okay? Are you kidding me? I'm not a child. I'm not a kid. You're not going to tell me what I have to do, what I need to do, etc. You're not going to tell me, if you don't, you're not going to threaten me, etc. Because I been there, done that. Like, I experienced that. I know what that looks like. I know what it sounds like, even when it's subtle, or if it's kind of in a nonchalant, passive, aggressive type of way. Whether a lot of people, they don't accept when they're called out on something. They either deny it or become totally confrontational. It's like one side or the other, etc. And want to debate and go on about stuff. I mentioned this already, that we're not here to debate anybody's opinion. We're not here to debate the truth. You understand? Because when you've achieved your clarity the way that I feel that I have, and I'm just asking the universe and God to not test me too much on this, because I'm human, but I'm pretty sure it's an ace, okay? A++, because I'm just sure about myself. So I'm not here to argue with anybody. I'm not here to say, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. Once the conclusion is drawn, that's just what it is, and that's it. There's no need to say, hey, do you think that it was like this, or did you mean this, or was it like this? If I'm not sure about who I'm interacting with, it's not it. It's either yes or no. So it's like, once somebody shows you who they are, believe them. In the past, whereas like somebody showed me their ass over and over and over, apparently I liked looking at it because it wasn't something that alarmed me to say that's disrespectful and I need to leave. You know, there's just something really wrong about that. So what that tells me is that it wasn't exactly low self-esteem. It was like something wasn't clicking, you know? And it was like also that I didn't have a lot of care about what was going on, you know? And it was also, if there was an internal alarm system, it wasn't going off. And I noticed that happens to a lot of people in their situations when people are talking about their situationships and whatever case that they are surviving from or recovering from. It's a lot of that similar type of experience where I just kept tolerating this behavior over and over. I have no idea why I didn't get up and run out the door. I was good. And whenever I was talked to disrespectfully, I felt I did something wrong. I felt like it was my fault. Oh, I have to prove myself now. I have to prove to you that I am good, that I can listen, that I can do everything that you told me that I couldn't do. But the way that's twisted is when you recognize yourself and you recognize, not only am I good, but I can do all the things, and I can do it like naturally. That's a beautiful truth, and that needs to be put in the right place. What I learned that I had was a disorder. I had a disorder where there was a lot of confusion, and things were put in the wrong place. Okay, but if you ask me, I always reference Picasso and saying, okay, so I'm a work of art, so I'm a masterpiece. You know, Picasso made these beautiful masterpieces where it just looked like a collage of pieces that generated, you know, a beautiful painting, you know, that people just look at and try to understand. Anyways, so I've concluded that I'm amazing, and that's that. These are truths that you can identify with, and that you can say, I'm gonna actually identify with that. I'm gonna identify as amazing. I'm gonna identify as incredible. I'm going to identify as good. When I identify as good, I say that I am of quality. When I say I'm of quality, that means I have values. When I say I have values, that means I'm not giving for the sake of giving just because the goodness of my heart says that I'm a giver, the heart of Jesus, etc. I'm saying that I'm worth more than whatever anybody else is trying to give me. And hopefully it's sufficient and it's equal, at least, if not more. I appreciate and love to the max. Okay, I appreciate and love above and beyond, because I'm someone that likes to prove how much when I say I love you, like I love you beyond any other love. I prove myself in that way, and I had to recognize that about myself, to say, wow, that's really incredible. Being good and being of good quality also means that others will recognize that. They'll recognize it and they might try to be controlling. My daughter is an absolute beautiful reflection of everything good about me. She was conceived in love from my soul and my heart, and I don't regret that. I do regret procreating with the person I procreated with. That person would refer to me as damaged goods, and that I was, useless and all this other stuff. That didn't hurt my feelings, and I guess because it didn't hurt my feelings, I didn't see that I should probably stop interacting with this person. Maybe I should leave and not listen to this person, not answer the calls like a normal person would do. But I would attack back and say, that's why you're this, that's why you're that, you're a bum, etc., etc. But that's obviously toxic and not healthy, and that's not coming from a place of love. And why would anybody procreate with someone that they don't love? I've learned that. I also was in the environment of toxicity, so that was normal behavior for me. Anyways, somebody that recognizes that you're good will absolutely try to see how good you are. And we don't need to prove ourselves to anybody. They'll try to pull our strings, tell us jump, and expect us to say how high, etc. They really expect us to be trained like animals in the circus, to do and to conform to everything that they wish, which is crazy. Which is absolutely crazy, especially when the reward, first of all, I'm not a circus animal to train. And another thing is that they don't even have any good treats or rewards. Where's the reward system? This is a scam. This is an absolute scam, and to recognize those things. I do feel like I was cheated out of a lot of things because I was so good, and I was so giving, and I was so careless with my heart, my own heart and my own mind. And I was just letting whoever do whatever with it, as if it wasn't mine, as if I wasn't capable of protecting myself. And I have to give myself a hug. There's so much healing power in a hug. And I love to hug myself, and I love to hug my daughter, and I love to remind her that she's good and she's enough and she's sufficient. She doesn't ever have to bow down or follow anybody's orders at all, ever. When I regained custody of her, they had the other side, the person that I procreated with and the people that abused her, basically. And I don't like to say that because that's not something that I just can't accept that completely. I remind my daughter, you don't need to take direction or instruction from anybody. Childhood trauma, we're growing out of that. We're breaking through from what was to what is. I know childhood trauma and the effects of it is real. Stress, anxiety, depression, all of that. Disorderly conduct, toxicity, and all those things. I know it all too well. And I want to save my daughter from any of that as much as possible. Which means that she has to see me, respect me, acknowledge me, understand me as well as her mother. And that's where we're at with our relationship. We have to be given the proper respect with one another, first of all, and from others, so that we can reunify the way that we were supposed to originally, in a healthy manner. Reconnect, reintroduce one another to each other from all of that court corruption and things of the past that affected our connection, but it didn't destroy us, and it never will. That's what I'm telling my daughter to tell anybody who's trying to tell her what to do. I notice that she's on the phone quite a bit. She's on the phone, and I remind her the phone is made for talking. The phone is made for talking, not for listening. As your mother, though, I have to listen. I've learned to listen to my daughter and listen to her with my heart. What she's experiencing and what she's come through and endured, I owe that to her. I owe that to her, to listen to her, to respect her, to see her, to acknowledge her. Like I just don't have the same tolerance and sensitivities towards anybody else. And that's just where I'm at with my growth, my maturity, and my life. You know, as a 41-year-old woman, it's about time for sure. Discussing fear. So when I think about being good, I wonder, what makes anybody good? What makes you good? What makes you walk that straight line every day? What makes you abide by the law, follow all the rules? What makes you do that, right? Because there's a lot of people that don't do that. Just wondering why. I'm just wondering, what makes you good? What makes you do what you do every day? That's really a question. I might take it to the streets for real. I might take it to the streets and just go out there with my microphone. Like, what makes you good? Why are you good? Why do you walk the line every day? Like, etc., etc. You know, and they'll say things like, oh, I have a family to raise. Oh, I have, I have obligations, etc., etc. I have responsibilities. I have things that I have to do. I wonder this about some of the people, like the Amazon delivery drivers. I felt so bad the other day. My Amazon deliveries, they deliver, and it was raining. It was like pouring rain outside. And I felt bad, and I felt like I shouldn't be ordering things in the rain because it's forcing people to come out in the rain to deliver my packages. And I was thinking, well, what makes them, why are they doing this? Like, why are they doing this work? It's their job to do. And that's a whole nother other thing. My job, I just feel like nobody can ever fill my shoes. So anybody that's trying to needs to just quit trying. As far as anybody saying that I don't work or that I don't have a job, I am actively living my life. I can't do that as a dead person, if that makes sense. But why does it matter, right? So why am I being good? Why do I do things? Why am I not in debt or in jail now? I will say that I'm like everyone else. Like, I have a family. I have responsibilities and obligations.